Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of gold and silver. We'll look at the dollar, the 10-year yield, precious metals, and then into some of the individual companies and ETFs to see what it looks like and where potential investments could be, at least from my financial opinion. It's not advice. Please don't use it as advice. But I'll give you my opinion, where I'm looking to maybe deploy some money, and what the overall sector looks like. So we'll dive right into it. We got the dollar here. The dollar, again, we're right at this resistance line. It's now support line. Draw it out a little bit. It's been bouncing, kind of hit it a couple times back here. Came up and below. We're kind of just moving up and around. There's a lot of fear in the markets. You can see it in the 10-year yield. We'll look at that next. The dollar is usually a spot to run to when people are afraid and there's war and whatnot. So I do think that if we get a very large dollar increase or fear into the market, it could slow down gold a little bit. But gold's been pretty resilient in the face of what I would say is just a sideways dollar. The 10-year yield is declining today. We've got some fear in the market. That's what I think it's basically indicating, is that some people are running into bonds, which means yields go lower. I do think that this will trend higher with time if it's an inflationary environment. And I really do think we are in an inflationary environment, and that this is going to be very volatile, the 10-year yield, as things and people become scared. They are less scared. There's just a lot of fear in the market overall, and you can tell by a declining 10-year yield. With this combination of dollar kind of sideways, yield going down, that's usually pretty good for precious metals to go up in that type of environment. We had gold up to 1909. We are right at this resistance line. We've got a little wick at the top. That's the line that we're competing with right here. This is the resistance area that I drew in. We're trying to break through it. If we break through this, I think we'll see another surge higher. But we got to close above it and stay above it for a little bit. And it looks like we're having that resistance. You can see that the opening and closing prices came right up to this resistance, and we're just staying there. It tried popping higher, came back, tried popping higher for the past couple of days. Silver's right there at its resistance line as well. 2450 is the line in the sand. I'd like to see a close above it and stay above it for a week. That's kind of where my thoughts are at. And platinum's struggling a little bit. We're pulling back a little bit on platinum. Still looks good from a downtrend break. And I would be an accumulator down here for physical platinum. If you guys want to accumulate physical, either silver, platinum, or gold, they're all good. But they all look good, in my opinion, breaking their downtrend lines. Looking at the XAU to gold ratio, that has broken out. We are above it. What this signifies is that we should be looking for potential, gold and silver investments. Because what we should see with this line break is a more normalization of gold and silver mining stocks in relationship to gold, and a move higher, an outperformance of it. But that's what this ratio looks like. We're way down here, putting in a nice, good break of this downtrend line. And I suspect that this is going to move higher with time. So looking at some of the investments, like Karora Resources, and I've got my big old fat drawing up there, it is just moving sideways here, and it looks great for a potential break at some point. I just drew this in there last time. It looks like we're staying within it. So that still looks good. And on a big long-term perspective, we've broken to the upside of this resistance line. I bet you we're going to see a big move higher in it. Actually, this would be a great potential investment for the portfolio that I'll be creating. EXK, big picture view here. We're in this big old pattern here. We've been going sideways with it. This is eventually going to break to the upside. We could have a little bit more downside pressure before making that break. We'll have to see, because on the short term, we're still in this downtrend. We have not broken it yet. You could also say that we've got a line coming through here, and we're putting in a pattern that's probably going to extend outward and perhaps go maybe one little last hit here before breaking up. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here. That's EXK Endeavor Silver. SILJ, it's got a similar pattern. You can see this thing. Basically, kind of a pattern coming in here. It's coming down and squeezing up, and we're trying to break to the upside of that pattern. We're right on that support line. So that one is looking good for a potential investment if it can stay up and we get some momentum to the upside. GDX, again, we're right on that resistance support line. You can see last time it failed and came back in. We're right there seeing which direction we want to go, either up or down, and we're right at that decision point. Big long-term perspective view. We've got the big down, well, we've consolidated down here. We broke out to the upside through this guy, and then we're doing a back test. And what do we do with back tests? We buy them, right? So this is a back test, and I think we'll see probably a very big move to the upside with time. These things aren't going to play, 2 seconds. This is a Metallic Minerals, a small silver exploration company coming all the way down. I like how we get this pop higher here, and then the slow leak off of sellers. This is eventually going to break. I can't tell you the exact timing of it, but it's looking quite good. I think we're getting close to a spot down here that we could maybe start moving higher. Koyo Resources broke its downtrend. Let's go on logarithmic here and zoom in. That broke its downtrend. It broke out a little bit here and failed. Came back up. It doesn't look bad right here, guys, for Koyo Resources. Right here, right now. Discovery Silver. We're getting the bullish piercing, bullish engulfing. The bullish engulfing is this guy there. The bullish piercing is this guy here. It looks like the buyers are wanting to try to push this higher. For Discovery Silver, DSVSF. AG, this is First Majestic Silver. We're still in this kind of resistance area, just bopping sideways. I think eventually we will break to the upside. We have a massive pattern developing right here. We can, if we break this 1860, or no, about $18, we can close above 18 bucks. This is a big pattern break, and we'll be free to run. Newmont's also working on its massive pattern. Let me see here. Let me grab this guy. I'm just going to get this out of here real quick. And it's working on its pattern here. It's right at the top, trying to break out. And we're going to see a big old run at some point when that breaks. Mag Silver, that's also got a pattern. It's doing a retest move. And looking at it, we've got kind of a downward slanting, I call it like a pattern that looks like this. It's ready to break to the upside. You know what? That doesn't look too bad to me. From MAG. Yamana Gold, yeah, this one's had a pretty good run. It broke out, ran a little bit. And remember, we always see these return moves, so you shouldn't be scared. It might pull back a little bit and then take off. Big old pattern that's broken. Goes back to the last commodity bull market. It was probably all the way down here, had a huge run, consolidated, and now we're going to see another big run again. Impact Silver, ISVLF. What I see here, this is kind of the first big move up, kind of a consolidation period. And then I think we're going to see a big move when it breaks through the 85-cent area, if it can break through that. On the daily candlesticks, it's just been chopping sideways. We have a lot of resistance right where it's at. It needs to break and move above that resistance. Aftermath Silver, I mean, this guy's just been moving sideways. Man, that thing looks ugly. There's no good chart pattern there, guys. If I zoom in here, downtrend break. We've been chopping sideways still chopping sideways. PLG, we've got the kind of the wedging up. It broke to the upside, and we've been moving sideways a little bit with that. Going to the royalty companies, this is Sandstorm Gold. I do think this is probably going to have a little bit of a return move, maybe back down here somewhere. Maybe that's where we can pick up some shares. It might come back a little bit in the very short term. Franco-Nevada getting a little bit of buying, selling pressure going back and forth here. But on a big picture view, guys, this thing looks beautiful for a big move if we can break the 160 level for another leg higher. EMX, royalty, another one that broke out of this, kind of doing a return move, but been getting some buying pressure here recently. Downtrend break, popped higher, and then we're going to cycle with higher lows and higher highs upward, I think. Wheaton Resources still moving right at its resistance support line. It's been moving and bopping sideways. You know, it doesn't look too bad here. Anything down here has got good support, and I like it down here. That's TEUTF, Wheaton Resources. Wheaton Precious Metals, another one I like. It's right at a breakout kind of level. Been moving sideways, and we're going to break that downtrend or the downtrend line here. We're just peeking our heads above it, and you know what? I like it here. If you want to have a long-term hold. Gold Royalty doesn't look as good as some of the other ones, kind of just moving sideways. I still own it from the Ely Gold buyout. MTA still is inside of its pattern, just bopping sideways here. It'll eventually break to the upside, most likely. MMX is moving in this kind of pattern there. If you zoom in on it, it's right underneath it. So we're kind of just waiting. We're waiting for gold to make a move, I think. Royal Gold's been moving sideways there. I kind of drew that out there. But that one looks good. It's got a big long-term picture where when this thing breaks 160, 170, it will be gone. A Cisco Gold Royalty, another one that's been moving sideways kind of in this pattern here. And we're just moving sideways within this pattern. Then we have this big blue line, the big pattern going across this way. I think if we can break and move, we get a nice big move out of it. But that's what I've got for today, guys. That's gold and silver update. Still looks pretty good. I would be a buyer in some of these that have broken out, like a Karora Resources looks pretty good. Some of these royalty companies look like they're putting in big patterns. Just be patient. It'll come. Gold, silver do very well on the middle to back half. They kind of do a first initial surge. That's the reflation stimulus type money. We go sideways and consolidate for a little bit. And then I think we're going to see another surge at some point. At least that's what the charts are suggesting, and that's what these patterns are setting up. If you guys like the content, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.